Right, so if we see the conditional statement, if P then Q, or P with the arrow and then the Q, in symbolic form, this can be translated in words in one of three ways. It means if P then Q. It also can be verbally translated as P is sufficient for Q. And finally, it can also be translated verbally as Q is necessary for P. All right, so if we look at the statement right here that they want me to translate symbolically, it says sufficient conditions for not having electricity are the power lines going down or the transformer falling. And so the conditions that are sufficient are actually in the rear or in the back of the sentence. The power lines going down or the transformer falling, those are the sufficient conditions. It says sufficient conditions for not having electricity are those two things. So the sufficient stuff, when we write it in the symbolic form, P with the arrow Q, the sufficient stuff should go up front, the P. So power lines going down would be P, or transformer failing would be not Q. The transformer working, of course, is Q, so not transformer failing would be not Q. And so these right here are the sufficient conditions that we're told in order for this to happen, in order for to not have electricity, which would be not R. And so this is what I would want to type into my math lab. Alternatively, we could put parentheses around the OR statement, but my math lab will mark this correct either way. Now, again, when I did this one in class today, I saw the sufficient first in the sentence, and I incorrectly decided that the first item in the sentence would be the sufficient stuff, and of course that was wrong. The statement is saying that the sufficient conditions are the power lines going down and transformer failing, so that those are the items that I should have put up front. In other words, to the left of the arrow. So when we have P, if P then Q, this statement over here, the sufficient goes up front, the P, and the necessary goes on the back. Sometimes when they present this sentence to us, the sufficient items are the first thing. Like for example, if they said something like P is sufficient, for Q, then there's an example where they told me the sufficient stuff up front, and so of course that would go first. But on this statement, the sufficient items are actually found on the back of the sentence, and so I should have put those up front.